morning, everybody. This is Mike Lamazzo, and welcome once again to the Sicilian Corner Radio Show podcast. Right, Lou?
Just kickoff of the weekend, right?
This
is how we know the weekend is coming.
Exactly. The weather for the last couple of mornings, it's been a pleasure to open up the door and walk outside and feel a little bit of fall in the air.
59 degrees when I got in the truck this morning.
It was like 54 at home.
Was it?
Yeah, it was nice. It was beautiful. And everything's alive. I mean, I can't remember going in the middle of September and seeing the grass in the yard look as beautiful as it looks. Everything's so green.
Yep.
You're cutting your grass every 3 days,
Not me, but yeah.
Well, not you. You got a sand barrier around.
Oh, no, I've got grass. It's just I'm not doing it every 3 days.
You have grass?
I have a little spot of grass here.
Do you?
Yeah.
Wow. I would think that it would be hard on Plum Island
It is hard
with the wind and the sand blowing around. It's difficult.
Yeah,
difficult.
I got an area of grass. I get some seagrass in the front yard, and so. Which I don't have to do anything with, so I like that.
Hey, as long as you don't get stranded with this storm coming up, it would be the surge that would cause a problem, if anything, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of borderline. They're talking 3 or 4 feet. If we get 4 feet, Turnpike might be underwater.
Really?
Yeah, it might be.
So you just have to wait a while until the tide goes out?
I've been there 5 years. Only happened once in those 5 years.
Jeez, that's not bad at all. Are you kidding me?
Lucky. Yeah.
Even with northeasters?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Only once since.
Hey, listen, folks, today, I know a lot of times the shows that we do are somewhat light, and that's by design. You put the news on in the morning. My God, all you hear about is people getting shot. Who's dying? 2,200 people missing in an earthquake. It's very depressing. It really is. I mean, I'm at a point now where I just want to listen to the weather. I mean, I don't want to know anything else that's going on.
Even that hasn't been great this year.
This year in particular. But today, I know a lot of you listen to the show faithfully, and I'll tell you, Lou and I really, really appreciate it.
Love it.
It's a lot of fun. And, we've come back and we've made it Merrimack Valley Central and Southern New Hampshire. And that's how we started. That was our roots. And we're back to that again. And I'll tell you, this formula seems to be working very well, judging from what our listeners are communicating with us. Today's show has got a serious tone to it because it's something that I think all of us kind of drag our feet and do not want to think about it because we think we're going to be here forever and tomorrow. And that's not the case. So in the studio with me this morning, and Lou is someone that I have a great deal of respect for. I believe the company, his staff, the whole 9 yards, they're very, very professional. And right now I'd like to introduce Dan Debruyckere to the Sicilian Corner. Dan, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You own Legacy Care Law Offices, and it's all about estate planning.
That's correct. And we just rebranded that name. And one of the reasons we did it is because if you look at my last name and you try to pronounce it, it's very difficult for people.
It took me 2 years to be able to spell it. Never mind.
That's right. That's why. So Legacy Care Law Firm at Debruyckere Law Offices is a lot easier. People can just say Legacy Care. And takes the strain off the conversation.
Well, you have quite a few offices in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Could you just tell the listeners where you're located?
Sure. We have 5 offices. We have an office in North Andover, Massachusetts, Salem, New Hampshire, which is our newest building that we just purchased right on Red Roof Lane. And then we have an office in Nashua, right off the Everett Turnpike, and then one in Woburn and one in Beverly.
Wow. So in your spare time, what do you do?
I actually enjoy woodworking. But
do you really?
I do.
Is that your release?
It is.
Wait a second. We learned about weightlifting before the show. We learned about woodworking during the show.
That's
I
right.
love it. Yeah.
No, that's outstanding. What is the legacy law firm's mission statement?
So our purpose, our core purpose, is to help people be comfortable with some of the most difficult and painful decisions that they have to make in life, and facing some of the most difficult situations, such as when somebody becomes incapacitated and when somebody passes away. And our purpose is to help people get prepared for that and be comfortable with what they've done to prepare for that.
Oh, well, something like I said, everybody drags their feet and nobody wants to face it head on. What's going to happen when we're not here anymore. But right now, I believe, Lou, we have a caller.
Robert has a question for Dan. Go ahead,
Robert, you're on the Sicilian Corner.
Yes, good morning on this beautiful day.
Good morning.
I just have a general question. What are the overall considerations one should think of in whether choosing a trust over just a traditional will?
Oh, that's a great question. So, a lot of people are still in the mindset that I'm going to plan my estate, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go have a will drawn up. That worked back in the 50s, but today it's a lot different. Our society is different. There are more lawsuits, divorces, bankruptcies, and things like that. And the probate process can take over a year and be very expensive. You have to understand that when you have a will, your family's going to go through probate in order to transfer your assets to them. A will doesn't avoid probate, it requires probate. A trust is an agreement that you sign with your beneficiaries, basically putting your assets under contract. That's all a trust is a contract. And you're saying that when I pass away, this is what's going to happen to my assets. This is going to be my new trustee. That's the trustee is the person who manages the trust assets. So when you create a trust, what you're doing is you're prearranging everything in an orderly way, the way you want to see it happen, and determining who's going to take over for you when you can no longer manage your affairs yourself. With a trust, if it's done properly and all of your assets are in the trust, including your home and even your IRAs, we always recommend that the trust becomes the beneficiary of your IRA. Everything flows through the trust, and now you have a situation where your family doesn't have to go to court. And
that's a good thing.
And in the event that you become incapacitated and you need nursing home care, you've preserved your family's options to implement certain Medicaid exemptions and strategies so that they can protect some of your assets for you in many cases.
Is that still 5 years in the states of Massachusetts and New Hampshire?
Well, what you're talking about is the 5-year look-back period. So the look-back period is a period of time that if you apply for Medicaid, which is the only government benefit that will pay for nursing home care, if you apply for that benefit, they're going to look back 5 years to see what you did. If you did something that generates a penalty, then you're not going to be eligible for Medicaid. Creating the irrevocable trust, which is the popular way of doing it, because it's easy to think about. It's just a simple thing. You take your assets, you give up control, you put them into this trust that's irrevocable, and 5 years later, there's no more penalty and the assets are out of your reach, but they're also non-countable when you apply for Medicaid.
Okay.
There are better ways to do that in many cases, though. Rather than giving up control and cashing in your IRAs and 401ks, the best way to do it is to sit down with a qualified elder law professional who can determine what Medicaid exemptions and strategies would apply to you. Once that's done, then you can determine if you need to do an irrevocable trust or not, if nursing home asset protection is important to you.
Okay. Yes, I see.
Bob, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Totally. Very good.
All right.
And listen, have a good rest of the show.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks for the question, Bob.
Yeah, that was a good question. Yeah.
Dan, on the trust, the Medicare protection for your assets is a 5-year look back period, but the distribution of assets happens immediately, right? As you determine how you want your assets to be distributed.
When you say it happens immediately, it happens whenever your trust says it's going to happen.
Well, I
because,
mean,
yeah,
it's in voc. There's no 5-year look back
that's
period
correct.
on that.
Yeah. So you're what you're doing is you're not making yourself broke
Yeah.
with a revocable trust that preserves your options. When you do an irrevocable trust, you basically have to look destitute on paper.
Okay.
So that
Really?
Yeah. So if you're unmarried, you can have a little under $3,000 and be eligible for Medicaid. Any more than that, and if you're unmarried and you own a home and you have less than $3,000 in liquid assets, Mass Health will put a lien on your home to recover whatever they pay for your nursing home costs. Now, there are ways of avoiding
Well,
all
I
of
thought
this.
your home was exempt.
Your home, well, see, here, your home is not exempt if you're unmarried. Okay. And it's not even exempt if you're married. What happens is if you're a married couple with a home and there's a community spouse that lives in the home, then the home is not countable for purposes of the resource test.
Okay.
However, the home is an asset that they will put a lien on, even if there's a community spouse living in the home. So the community spouse is not going to get kicked out. But when the home is sold, Mass Health will get reimbursed for what they pay for your nursing home care, unless you do some planning ahead of time. There are a lot of planning ways that we can avoid that lien.
Okay. Excellent.
You know, Dan, Lou told me before the show that, you know, when he passes away, I'm going to
go.
become one of his benefactors. And he said to me, you know, I have to pay down. I want to get rid of some cash. So that way I'll qualify for
It's
more
a big
benefits.
problem for me getting rid of cash.
So he says, you know, I'm thinking of maybe getting you, you know, a Ferrari. What happens in a case like that when people are trying to get rid of cash on hand, assets, and they're trying to spin it off, say, as a car, and then you can turn around and sell a car and benefit from that? What happens if do they go back? They actually check and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
That's that 5-year pay.
Yeah, and you know what they'll do is they'll check the registry of deeds to see if you've transferred any real estate. They're going to look at your bank records for at least the last 3 years. More than likely, if they see anything in the last 3 years, they're going to want to see 2 more years of your bank records. Investments, IRAs, they're going to look at everything.
Okay.
And there is no sneaky way of doing this. There's only the right way. If you do it the sneaky way, they're going to imply that you gave it away, and there'll be an ineligibility penalty. I see so many people get in trouble. They try to do these
clever. We'll call it clever.
They try to be cute, and they get into trouble instead of doing it the right way. Another thing people do is they'll give away their assets. And we've actually seen situations where a parent has put their home in the name of the child. And in one case, the child had to declare bankruptcy because of a real estate development problem in Florida. And mom lost her only asset, her home, because the bankruptcy court actually took the home as to pay creditors.
Wow. Hey, listen, we'd love to hear from you. Any questions at all? It's not costing you a dime. You have anything in the back of your head that's been bugging you for a while? Now's the chance to give us a call and say hello, and to ask Dan about what you have in mind. Telephone number is 978-659-0072. Once again, 978-659-0072. I have a friend of mine, Dan, that thinks he's a lot smarter than 99% of the people in the world. And he's always looking for the cheapest way of doing things. Going online and getting a will form online and filling it out, advisable, not advisable, the pluses, the minuses.
So I can promise you one thing. You will.
You ready, Lou?
I'm ready.
You will get what you pay for.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that. And you know, an example is a family that I worked with a couple of years ago now, where while dad was alive, he learned on the internet that if he put his home into an irrevocable trust, and he went into a nursing home after the 5-year look-back period, that his home would be preserved for his children, and it was his only asset, and he wanted to do that. So he wanted to do it the inexpensive way. So he went online and he downloaded an irrevocable trust, and he went to an attorney and had his home put into that irrevocable trust. Dad never went into a nursing home, and he died several years later, and the kids were happy. They were able to sell their house, but they weren't happy when they filed their taxes. Because when you're involved in receiving funds from a real estate closing, you get a 1099. And they were expecting, because they had done their own reading on the internet, they were expecting that the home was going to get what's called a step up in cost basis. Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't pay any capital gains.
From the point that the person passed away?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
But this particular trust did not allow for that, because this was just, Dad saw the title on the top of the document, irrevocable trust. He thought that's what he had to do. But this was a particular trust that did not, the technical term, it did not provide for estate inclusion. So there was no step up in basis. The kids had to pay over $90,000 in capital gains tax that they would not have had to pay if the trust was done properly. You have to look at a trust like a contract. Every word, every sentence, every paragraph is important. If it's there and it shouldn't be there, or if it needs to be there and it isn't there, there's going to be tough consequences. You get what you paid for.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Hey, Dan, I got to take a break. And I hope that when we come back, we hear from some of our listeners. And once again, telephone number is 978-659-0072. You have something on your mind? Give us a call. We'll be right back.
Ciao, this is Esther of You, Me, and Sicily. I want to talk to you about Tommy Amin and the great staff at Butcher Boy Market. Families, foodies, and home chefs come together at Butcher Boy to talk good food and create traditions. They offer the best in quality cuts of beef, pork, lamb, poultry, and restaurant-style steaks and chops. Produce? All of their produce is hand-selected to complement any meal or even to make it your main course. Their deli serves fresh roast beef, turkey, and beautiful imported Italian cold cuts, cheeses, and antipasto. And don't forget the Butcher Boy Bakery, featuring sweet delectables from all over the state, as well as their very own bakery. That's Butcher Boy, where the secret to a great steak is, of course, the steak. Located at 1077 Osgood Street in North Andover, Massachusetts, in the Butcher Boy Plaza. Ciao!
This is David from the Sicilian Corner. You know, Mike, Tom, and I love to go to Salisbury Beach, but we love different things and can never agree where to go. Tom likes the casual family-style dining with a great Italian cuisine, Capri's seaside Italian kitchen and pizzeria. Me? I love the elegant romantic vibe Sea Glass with the amazing view and terrific menu, with prices that make it the place you want to visit each and every week. Mike loves a drink in his hand and a cool ocean breeze right off the surf and the rhythms of a cooler reggae band. We all know Mike loves Bob Marley tunes at Surfside. Who doesn't love a great show? National acts, comedy, regional favorites, and the beautiful and intimate Blue Ocean Concert Hall. Lucky for us, Atlantic Hospitality is the host of all of these great places, and they treat everyone like they are Mike Lamazzo. Best of all, we never have to choose. Park the car once and all this fun is right at your fingertips. You can have it all in the heart of Salisbury Beach. Find out all the ways you can have a great night at Salisbury Beach at NorthshorePavilion.com. And Mike, Tom, and I will see you there.
This is Tom Zappala. Located in the heart of downtown Haverhill, the Haverhill Beef Company is a full-service, old-fashioned butcher shop and meat market that continues to be a valued family tradition since 1952. Peter and Monica Carboni's Haverhill Beef, offers individualized service from an outstanding selection of marinated sirloin tips, homemade sausage, marinated chicken, and thick, juicy Chairman Reserve steaks. Your family deserves the best, so call Peter at 978-374-4795 or visit their website at www.haverbeef.com.
Hi, this is Mike, and I would like to tell you about the Debruyckere Law Offices, a firm that is focused on estate planning, probate, trust administration, and elder law issues. You will feel comfortable discussing important issues concerning both you and your loved ones, as well as having the information you need to make an informed decision about your family's future. How do I know? Because I'm a client of Dan Debruyckere. If you want to have peace of mind knowing that your loved ones are protected, call Debruyckere Law Offices today. In Massachusetts, 978-686-4645. In New Hampshire, 603-894-4141.
At Catadella Funeral Home, we reinvest in our business to provide your family with the best facilities. It begins with a beautifully landscaped exterior, parking for 250 vehicles, and a comfortable and inviting access to our renovated interior. Funerals can be costly, so you should review and compare plans to make sure you receive services that are fairly priced. I invite you to experience the Catadella difference in cost, facility, and service.
Catadella's honoring and celebrating the lives of the people we loved, providing exceptional care since 1929.
Italian artisan cuisine combines simple, fresh ingredients with time-honored preparation to create an incredible culinary experience. At Tuscan Kitchen, located in Salem's historic Depot District, talented chefs prepare everything in-house from scratch for all to see. Guests enjoy their meal literally in our kitchen as food is prepared right in front of you. Wood ovens burn from morning till night, roasting vegetables, baking bread, and firing delightful thin-crust pizzas. Prime steaks are seared on a wood grill. A rotisserie slowly roasts marinated whole chickens and lamb, while a pasta maker creates fresh fettuccine. More than just artisan cuisine, Tuscan Kitchen features the wine bar, live entertainment, weekly wine tastings, and elegant private dining and event space. Call 603-952-4875 or visit TuscanKitchen.com to make a reservation and learn more about the culinary adventure that awaits. In Italy, cooking is an art form. Tuscan Kitchen. Experience artisan Italian.
Orthopedics Northeast and Essex Orthopedics have joined forces as Mobility Bone and Joint Institute to bring improved access and outstanding medical care. While our name has changed, our dedication to exceptional care remains the same as it has for the past 30 years. Same location, 16 Pelham Road, Salem, New Hampshire.
This is Cindy.
And Mike Kunstler,
owners and operators of Four Oaks Country Club and Grazie Italian Restaurant in Drake, Massachusetts.
Grazie Italian Restaurant is the hidden gem of the Merrimack Valley.
Why is that?
We have an incredible chef, Oscar Figueroa.
In the words of local famous chef and restaurant owner Lydia Shire,
Oscar thrives on hard work.
He is capable and gifted.
No one makes better food. Scallops seared to perfection.
House-made ravioli with farm-fresh local corn.
And buttery tender Lazy Man's lobster, just to name a few.
You have to come experience Grazie Italian Restaurant for yourself.
Grazie Italian Restaurant, located at Four Oaks Country Club, 80 Meadow Creek Drive in Drake, Massachusetts. Hope to see you soon.
Hope to see you soon. It's a great place to go and sit outside and have a nice dinner. Just a great restaurant. We're very fortunate. We have some fantastic restaurants that sponsor this show. And
Yes.
You know something? I'm glad because, being Italian, Dan, I like to eat. I think you know that, right?
Yeah.
And, when it comes to good restaurants, I have a soft spot. I was reading that 2 years ago, 68%, Lou, in the United States, people in the United States, 68% did not have a will.
Oh,
Can you imagine that? 68%, Dan.
Sure.
And in that same year, people had passed away. 55% did not have a will.
And that's what keeps the probate court so busy.
How expensive, Dan, is going through probate?
Well, it depends. It depends on the size of the estate, and it also depends on the state and the county you're in.
It does, huh?
Yeah, because in Massachusetts, if you live in Essex County, probate is less time consuming in Middlesex County because of the way the court works and what you have to go through to get get things filed. And sometimes a simple probate will go through in an orderly fashion in every county, but it's at least a year. And most people hire a lawyer because they're not going to know what to do anyway. And legal fees can be anywhere $5,000 and up, and sometimes a lot more than that if there are complicated moving parts to the estate, like real estate and businesses and things like that.
Are there different types of wills?
Well, there are two basic types of will. There's a simple will, which basically has the dispositive provisions in it. And let me explain what I mean by a dispositive provision. That's a provision in the will that says I leave everything to my wife if she's living. If not, I leave everything to my children. So your will tells the probate judge where you want your assets to go when you die. That's a simple will. Then there's a pour-over will. The pour-over will has only one dispositive provision to it. It says when I die, everything I own goes to my trust. So it pours over into your trust. When we prepare an estate plan, our goal is that the will is never used because we want to keep you out of court. So that involves making sure that everything that you do, if you open a new bank account or buy a new piece of real estate, it all gets directed into the trust one way or another without the need for probate.
Is there much of an advantage over a trust against versus a will? A will over here, a trust over here. What are the pluses for a trust?
Well, there's only one minus for a trust, and that is that a trust there's more of an investment to a trust than there is to a will.
When you say investment, is that a fee base?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the fees are higher. There's more work in creating a trust. What you're doing is you're doing the work up front, so your family doesn't have to do it.
It's called peace of mind.
That's correct. Yeah. and the advantages are that your family stays out of court. You can put protections in there for beneficiaries so that if the beneficiaries get divorced, they don't lose half their inheritance in a divorce. There's one feature of a trust that people forget about, and it's a big deal for people who own real estate or have an estate in Massachusetts, because in Massachusetts currently, if your gross taxable estate is more than $1 million, and that's the value of your home, your IRA, your 401k, your life insurance benefits, your cars, your jewelry, everything gets added up. And if it's more than $1 million, your estate's going to have to pay a tax. Now, if you have,
welcome to Massachusetts.
That's right. If you have two people, a husband and wife, who have wills, what happens is when the wife passes away or the husband passes away, everything goes to the other spouse tax-free. But then when the surviving spouse dies, then everything goes to the beneficiaries with only a $1 million exemption. Now, if you have an estate that's worth $1.5 million, and you lose that first exemption, you're going to be $50,000 to $100,000 in Massachusetts taxes.
Yeah.
Whereas if your trust preserves both exemptions, it's a tax-free estate. So there are a lot of reasons why people should sit down with a qualified estate planning and LLR attorney and look at all of these things. Let the attorney ask you some questions and point these things out to you.
Dan, do you know of anybody we should call in particular? All kidding aside.
Huh?
Hey, listen, just for disclosure purposes, I have been a client of Dan's for the last 9 or 10 years. And I talk from firsthand experience, not only dealing with Dan, but all members of his staff. It takes a lot of burden off your shoulders. It really does, to know that, things are going to be lined up the way you want it. People that you want to reward are going to be rewarded. There's no squabbles because everything is black and white, correct?
Correct. If it's done right, yes.
In most cases. What happens, Dan, let's take me, for instance, okay? My wife passed away 5 years ago. If, say, God forbid, I was to have a stroke right now,
Please don't
and
do it on the air.
I could not function on a daily basis to write checks or to take care of the house, who would actually be paying my bills?
So when you create a trust, one of the things you do is you designate a successor trustee. That's the person who's going to take over and manage your affairs if you can no longer manage your affairs.
So it's the executor?
Well, the executor has to do with the will. The trustee is the person who legally controls the matters in the trust, like writing checks,
okay.
or buying real estate, opening bank accounts, selling real estate, that sort of thing. So it's worthwhile just to take a minute and talk about the three positions in a trust.
Okay.
There's the trustee, who legally manages everything and has legal control of the property. There's the trustor, who actually puts their property into the trust. And then there's the beneficiary. The beneficiary is the person who's entitled to get the benefit of the assets in the trust under the terms of the trust. So all the trust is really is a contract and a rule book for those three parties: trustor, trustee, and beneficiary.
I notice your firm has really been stepping up to the plate and offering a lot of free seminars. And that's how I got to know you. Your firm had a seminar at the Tuscan Kitchen.
Sure.
And I went and sat there, and I got a lot from it. And there's a question and answer period, and some great questions came up, and that's what got the ball rolling with me. And I strongly recommend trying to sit down at one of these seminars. It costs you nothing. And you know something? I think you're going to walk away feeling pretty good about moving forward. I'll be honest with you. And I'm not here to promote Dan's business. I'm here basically to tell you and to try to get you stimulated enough to try to do something to protect your assets, because we're not going to be here forever. I know some of you think, and I think, but it ain't going to happen. So it's nice feeling to know that, Aunt Mary's going to get the beautiful vase that her sister had. You can get that defined in what you set up in your trust, right?
You can. That's correct. The other thing about just learning and becoming educated about the subject, then it makes you comfortable with the decisions you make about what you want to put in place to protect your family and protect your legacy. And once you know what's going on, and instead of just listening to the hype on the radio, the advice you get from people who really are not experts, but they think they are, that can cause a lot of frustration and anxiety. If you learn about this and learn what works, what doesn't work, and we're not going to make an attorney out of you, but we'll at least get you comfortable conceptually with the choices that you have available to you. And Mike talked about the live seminar. We did 4 of them this week.
You did 4?
We did 4 of them this week.
This week?
Wow. Yeah, in the Nashua area, and it was very successful. I think we had about 140 people attend 4 seminars. And
wow.
We had 60 people make appointments to come into the office.
That's a hell of a percentage.
Yeah. So and people enjoy it, and they're very grateful for making it understandable. The other thing too is, if you can't get out to one of the seminars because it's not convenient, you can call our office and ask for us to email you a link to a recorded seminar. And we had one of these professionally recorded, and it's very easy to watch. And they'll email you the link. All you have to do is open up the email, click on the link, and you'll be able to watch the live seminar right from the comfort of your home.
Well, it doesn't get any easier than that.
Dan, what's your response when someone says, I don't know if I have enough to really deal with estate planning?
Sure. Well, I always tell them that's a personal decision. And I tell them that they should at least learn what would happen if they did nothing versus what would happen if they did it right. And they can learn that once they sit down with a qualified attorney and have that consultation where the attorney asks the questions, and can tell them what would happen either way, and then that's your personal decision to decide what you want to do.
But generally speaking, if you own a house, you should be doing some planning.
You should. I've seen cases where there's an unmarried couple and everything's going to the nieces and nephew, and they've said to me, I don't care if they go through probate, they're getting a lot. So why should I do anything to avoid probate for them? So
Is that the mindset?
sure. Well, in some cases, yeah, and that's why I don't assume anything. I let people make their personal choices, because that's the beginning of a comfortable long-term relationship. When people feel pressured into doing something, then it becomes uncomfortable, and there's always a little bit of resistance there to have a good relationship.
The definition between a trust and a will, I'm trying to understand.
Sure.
Is it the amount of assets that you have defines whether you're going to go with a will or a trust?
Well, if you have more than $25,000 in assets in Massachusetts, and in New Hampshire, any assets, you're going to go through a full probate process automatically. And there are some simplified ways of doing it, but it's still a full probate. And nobody wants to put their loved ones through that, between the cost, the expense, the aggravation. So when you go through probate, what happens is the first thing you have to do is an inventory, a list of all of the assets, right down to the kitchen table and chairs and all of that. And you have to provide that to the probate court. Then you have to publish notice in the newspaper. And anybody who wants to go to the probate court to see what the decedent had in assets can do that, because it's public record.
Yeah, public record.
And actually, there are people who victimize surviving spouses and children when they see they're getting a large inheritance, and they play on them with different scams.
Wow.
With a trust, everything's private. There's nothing that's public record.
You set up a trust for us, and I'm overdue to come in and have it updated, because you keep browbeating me. And
it's my job.
That's it. That's your job. And you do it so well. And you do it so well. Hey, listen, Lou, we're up against a break.
Let's take Roger's call first.
Okay.
Yeah, Roger, go ahead. We're up against a break, Roger, so be concise.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. Dan, I have a good friend, 88-year-old Marine, no former Marine, a widower, and he was referred to your office by a retiring financial advisor. And I've always been, skeptical about some of his decisions. And then, without prompting, he told me that this guy referred him to you. And as soon as I heard that, boy, all my fears went away. I knew he was in good hands. And I said, oh, my God, thank you, Joe, for doing the right thing. And whoever your friend is, he made a great recommendation. And he is extremely comfortable with you. And just to let everybody out there listening that's in our age bracket, yeah, you're a guy you can go to.
Thank you very much.
That's great to hear.
Very
Roger,
kind words.
thank you very much for the call, pal. I appreciate it. That's nice to hear, huh, Dan?
It
That speaks volumes.
That makes my day worthwhile when I hear those.
Look at you smile.
Yeah,
Look at you
it's
smile.
It's really a blessing to be a part of people's lives that way and provide that sense of comfort.
Absolutely.
Really is.
Louis, why don't we go to take a quick break, and then we'll come back right to the top of the hour.
Ciao, this is Esther of You, Me, and Sicily. I want to talk to you about Tommy Amin and the great staff at Butcher Boy Market. Families, foodies, and home chefs come together at Butcher Boy to talk good food and create traditions. They offer the best in quality cuts of beef, pork, lamb, poultry, and restaurant-style steaks and chops. Produce? All of their produce is hand-selected to complement any meal or even to make it your main course. Their deli serves fresh roast beef, turkey, and beautiful imported Italian cold cuts, cheeses, and antipasto. And don't forget the Butcher Boy Bakery. featuring sweet delectables from all over the state, as well as their very own bakery. That's Butcher Boy, where the secret to a great steak is, of course, the steak. Located at 1077 Osgood Street in North Andover, Massachusetts, in the Butcher Boy Plaza. Ciao!
This is David from the Sicilian Corner. You know, Mike, Tom, and I love to go to Salisbury Beach, but we love different things and can never agree where to go. Tom likes the casual family-style dining with the great Italian cuisine, Capri's seaside Italian kitchen and pizzeria. Me? I love the elegant romantic vibe Sea Glass with the amazing view and terrific menu, with prices that make it the place you want to visit each and every week. Mike loves a drink in his hand and a cool ocean breeze right off the surf and the rhythms of a cooler reggae band. We all know Mike loves Bob Marley tunes at Surfside. Who doesn't love a great show? National acts, comedy, regional favorites in the beautiful and intimate Blue Ocean Concert Hall. Lucky for us, Atlantic Hospitality is the host of all of these great places, and they treat everyone like they are Mike Lamazzo. Best of all, we never have to choose. Park the car once and all this fun is right at your fingertips. You can have it all in the heart of Salisbury Beach. Find out all the ways you can have a great night at Salisbury Beach at northshorepavilion.com. And Mike, Tom, and I will see you there.
This is Tom Zappala. Located in the heart of downtown Haverhill, the Haverhill Beef Company is a full-service, old-fashioned butcher shop and meat market that continues to be a valued family tradition since 1952. Peter and Monica Carboni's Haverhill Beef offers individualized service from an outstanding selection of marinated sirloin tips, homemade sausage, marinated chicken, and thick, juicy Chairman Reserve steaks. Your family deserves the best, so call Peter at 978-374-4795 or visit their website at www.haverhillbeef.com.
Hi, this is Mike, and I would like to tell you about the Debruyckere Law Offices, a firm that is focused on estate planning, probate, trust administration, and elder law issues. You will feel comfortable discussing important issues concerning both you and your loved ones, as well as having the information you need to make an informed decision about your family's future. How do I know? Because I'm a client of Dan Debruyckere. If you want to have peace of mind knowing that your loved ones are protected, call Debruyckere Law Offices today. In Massachusetts, 978-686-4645. In New Hampshire, 603-894-4141.
At Catadella Funeral Home, we reinvest in our business to provide your family with the best facilities. It begins with a beautifully landscaped exterior, parking for 250 vehicles, and a comfortable and inviting access to our renovated interior. Funerals can be costly, so you should review and compare plans to make sure you receive services that are fairly priced. I invite you to experience the Catadella difference in cost, facility, and service.
Catadella's honoring and celebrating the lives of the people we loved, providing exceptional care since 1929.
Italian artisan cuisine combines simple, fresh ingredients with time-honored preparation to create an incredible culinary experience. At Tuscan Kitchen, located in Salem's historic Depot District, talented chefs prepare everything in-house from scratch for all to see. Guests enjoy their meal literally in our kitchen as food is prepared right in front of you. Wood ovens burn from morning till night, roasting vegetables, baking bread, and firing delightful thin-crust pizzas. Prime steaks are seared on a wood grill. A rotisserie slowly roasts marinated whole chickens and lamb, while a pasta maker creates fresh fettuccine. More than just artisan cuisine, Tuscan Kitchen features the wine bar, live entertainment, weekly wine tastings, and elegant private dining and event space. Call 603-952-4875 or visit TuscanKitchen.com to make a reservation and learn more about the culinary adventure that awaits. In Italy, cooking is an art form. Tuscan Kitchen. Experience artisan Italian.
Orthopedics Northeast and Essex Orthopedics have joined forces as Mobility Bone and Joint Institute to bring improved access and outstanding medical care. While our name has changed, our dedication to exceptional care remains the same as it has for the past 30 years. Same location, 16 Pelham Road, Salem, New Hampshire.
This is Cindy,
And Mike Kunstler.
owners and operators of Four Oaks Country Club and Grazie Italian Restaurant in Drake, Massachusetts.
Grazie Italian Restaurant is the hidden gem of the Merrimack Valley.
Why is that?
We have an incredible chef, Oscar Figueroa.
In the words of local famous chef and restaurant owner Lydia Shire,
Oscar thrives on hard work.
he is capable and gifted.
No one makes better food. Scallops, seared to perfection.
house-made ravioli with farm-fresh local corn,
and buttery tender Lazy Man's lobster, just to name a few.
you have to come experience Grazie Italian Restaurant for yourself.
Grazie Italian Restaurant, located at Four Oaks Country Club, 80 Meadow Creek Drive in Dracut, Massachusetts. Hope to see you soon.
And we are back.
We caught you.
Yeah, it caught me. Yeah, I was daydreaming a little bit. Dan and I were talking off the air, and Dan, the one thing you want to make sure you mention before the show is over is what?
So you hear a lot about trusts and how a trust can be beneficial and how having your estate plan prepared properly can make such a big difference. What you don't hear a lot, and every once in a while people ask me, is if something happens to you, how do your successor trustees know what to do? And it's very important that whatever law firm you're dealing with has a program that gradually trains your successor trustees. For example, at our firm, we have an annual event that we actually ask our clients to bring their successor trustees so that they can learn all about your trust, what they should do if something happens to you, and definitely what they shouldn't do, because there are things.
Yeah,
somebody all of a sudden gets this power and they start closing bank accounts and signing documents, and they do a lot of damage. So it's important that if you're going to have your estate planned, do it with a firm that has a program for educating your successor trustees.
And that's the key, right? It's education.
Of course.
It's learning everything about you could possibly learn about it. I mean, you work hard all your life. You know, you spend all these hours working, trying to save a buck. Why pay it in taxes? Why give it away?
Yeah.
Why lose it? I mean, it doesn't make sense. If there's things out there that can help prevent it, why not take advantage of it?
And I know Dan understands this. I'm a Massachusetts resident. I don't want the state involved in anything to do with me. I just do not want it on any level.
But they do such a good job.
Oh, they do a great job. Yeah.
It's
protecting their own interests. Yes.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind-boggling.
So avoiding probate is as big a selling point as you can tell me, being from the state of Massachusetts.
Sure.
Although I know probate's pretty good, especially in Essex County, like you said, but still, I don't want the state involved.
Well, you know, it would be kind of sad if, you know, a member, one of your parents living by herself, or, you know, ends up going into a nursing home and she's there for 3 or 4 years, and the state comes after you because they want to be reimbursed, right there. I mean, I've heard horror stories from some friends of mine that, geez, I'll tell you, it makes the hairs in your arm come up. And why take that kind of a chance? I mean, why? I don't understand it. I mean, is there a cost associated with setting up a trust? Absolutely. But it's minimal compared to what you would be paying if you didn't have one.
That's correct.
And it's a comfort of mind, right?
You bet.
So if people wanted to get a little bit more information from your legacy group, how would they go about doing it?
Well, I recommend you call the office and ask to be able to watch the video. Once you watch the video, you can come in for a consultation, and we waive the $450 consultation fee because you've watched the video.
You waive it.
We waive it. Yeah, so you can come in. You don't have to pay anything to sit down and meet with us. And that's a good way to get started, and a good way to see if we're a good fit for you. And we like to see if you're a good fit for us too. But
so it's Legacy Care Law Firm. And again, I've been a client for a few years, and I have nothing but good things to say about the way I've been treated. And, you know, again, this is an awareness program. We just want you to just start thinking a little about what could happen if you're not here, and how nice it would be to be able to put your head down on the pillow saying, okay, I'm pretty well set. I know this one's going to get this, that one's going to get that, this is going to be all set. What happens if you have a disabled child? Is there ways of protecting that child in a trust?
So that's a very, very important situation. So if you have somebody who has either a mental or a physical disability, and there's a likelihood that as the stages of their life go by, that they're going to be needing assistance from the government for either housing, medical, or other things.
Right.
And you leave them in an inheritance, you haven't really done them any good because you just interfered with their eligibility for those government programs. The way it should be done is the beneficiary should receive their inheritance inside a type of trust called a special needs trust. And that does not interfere with benefits eligibility. And there's a pool of money there to provide the quality of living needs that the beneficiary is going to need while taking advantage of the government benefits for the housing or medical or those types of things. But it's really a tragedy when we see it happen where somebody just has a will or they have a boilerplate trust that leaves everything to a beneficiary, and the beneficiary loses their benefits. Sometimes they're in worse shape than when than before the inheritance.
Yeah, you can see that happening very,
Yeah.
very, very easily.
Yeah.
But at what age would you tell people that they should start preparing, whether with a will or with a trust? Do you have, like, is it 50? Is that too young?
Well, I think 50 is a little bit late because a lot of things happen to people prior to that age. And particularly if it's somebody with a family with children, because you want to make sure that if you have a home and some assets and you have children and there's a husband and wife, if something happens to both parents, then we're in the probate court. The court is appointing guardians ad litem that are costing us the estate funds, and it's difficult for the kids. And not only that, they get handed everything at 18 years old. And we all know today 18 years old is not like it used to be.
They get it at 18?
Yes.
Unless it's
in a trust. And then the trust determines, in our typical trust, we have any inheritance going to somebody under the age of 25 is held in trust and managed by the trustee who will provide it to them in reasonable increments until they turn 25. Then they can control their own inheritance.
If I had a godson who was like to spend money, would I be able to define how much that person would get yearly?
Absolutely.
Can you specifically get? Oh, you can get that detail?
You can. Yeah, and in a lot of cases with a spendthrift beneficiary like that, what we do is we set up a plan where the beneficiary gets so much per year for so many years.
Well, you know something, I love what you do, and you know something, I hope this show, if nothing else, brought a lot of questions forward. Good. Lou, do you have anything you'd like to
Yeah, we
finish
got
up?
a couple minutes left in. If Mike's going to buy you dinner tonight here in the valley or in the area, where are you going? Where are you making him take you?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. So
please say one of our sponsors. If you don't want to,
well, actually, you know, I'm glad
you can say anything you want.
I'm really glad you brought that up because after seeing the commercial about Grazie, I'd love to try that.
Grazie's
It looks
great.
great, and he recommends it highly. So,
You know, drop by Sunday afternoon around 1:00, and I'll be there.
Will you?
You know, oh yeah.
All right, dinner's on Mikey.
It's supposed to be beautiful weather, and I'll tell you, the golf course looks so great. Four Oaks Country Club, they run a really nice operation. I'm very, very impressed, and we're very fortunate. Like I said, we've got some terrific restaurants as sponsors, and I don't favor one over the other, but I try if I'm going out to eat.
Why?
I do.
When you can do them all.
Huh?
You don't have to favor one. You can do them all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Have a lot of fun. And, you know, to me, you know, being Italian, yeah, I love to eat, man. I do. I love to eat. And with your schedule and Karen's schedule, I mean, she's going out, I think, is a relaxing way for you to unwind a little bit.
it is.
You know,
It
and give
is.
that mind of yours a rest.
And,
Because you need to rest it once in a while.
And we've been married 45 years, and we still date, so that's a good thing.
Nice. Yeah.
You have a date night?
Oh, we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually tonight. is our date
No
night.
kidding.
Yeah.
Wednesday night was my date night.
Was it?
Because I hate traffic on the weekends. To me, Saturday night was amateur night. I hated going out on Saturday nights. I hated it. Wednesdays, nice, peaceful, quiet. You want to go to the city? You want to go into Boston?
No kids, right, Mike?
It was nice. It was a good take. It was a good take. But anyway, Dan, once again,
Thank you for
always a
having me.
pleasure. I look forward to the next time you come in with us, and we bring up a few things that people can get involved with, and it's an awareness.
It is.
You know what I mean, Lou?
Yes.
And when you want to fill out that application, it's Lomazo, 2 Z's, 1 O. That's
Okay.
how you spell my last name.
I got it.
Because I don't want that to get confused.
I got it. No, no problem.
Okay, you got
Yep,
it? All
yep.
right. Hey, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Next week, guess who's on with us?
Who's on?
Dahlia Diaz.
Dahlia Diaz.
And
boy.
there's a woman, boy, she doesn't hold back
Nope.
on anything. I'm looking forward to this next week. Hey, listen, once again, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.